County Judge Trey Duhon, and look forward to hearing the State of the County address.
Is this the first time after using it, or have you been using it? I was hearing about it last month at the Waller County Historical.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Please do yourself a favor if you get a chance. Go to the EDP's website and watch this video, especially. We played this video at the State of the County luncheon, the EDP State of the County luncheon, a few weeks ago, and it's an amazing. Vince did a great job, and the folks that he worked with did an amazing job. You watch this video, and it just impressed me because it makes. It's like Waller County is this high-tech center, and you know, honestly, we are with all the things we've got going on in Waller County. But it's a great marketing video, and I encourage everybody to go to the EDP's website. Want to welcome everybody here. Thanks for being here today. This is always one of my favorite times of the year, mostly because if I know I'm doing this speech, it's close to Christmas, and I'm a Christmas kind of guy. And to have it here in Hemi's Hideout, how about this place? What an incredible facility, right? John Hovis and all of his family and crew, Shelley, what an amazing job on decorations and the Christmas tree. It just, every time I come here, and I think it's been probably maybe a year or so, and I walk in and there's stuff I haven't seen before. And it's amazing. If you get a chance, you know, walk around, you got to look at some of these cars. Some of these cars are like one of two or three left in the country, and amazing vehicles. And then you have the neon signs, which are pieces of art in and of themselves. And if you get a chance to talk to John, you know, every one of these signs has a story, and some of them are literally one of a kind or one of two left in the world, and antique collector's items. And it's amazing because, John, didn't you collect? You haven't been, because I remember the first time I came in here 4 years ago, my first question was, how many years have you been collecting neon? 6 years ago, he did not own a neon sign. Yes. He gets a big old truck and goes around and finds these signs all over the country. So, just an incredible place. And if you haven't seen, in fact, on my Facebook recently, a few weeks ago, there was a piece I think ABC did on amazing places in the U.S. and this facility was on there, and I posted it on my Facebook. And it's funny how many people I heard from that live in Waller County that have no idea. They did not know that this was in Waller County. And the messages I get is, how do I get to go see this place? And I'm like, well, just join organizations like the West I-10 Chamber, and then you can come to the Chamber luncheon, and then you get to see this place. So thank you, John, for allowing us to be here today. Really do appreciate that. And of course, the West I-10, Julie, all the folks, thank y'all, and you always put together such a great function, and I'm always excited to be able to come and talk about Waller County and what's going on in Waller County and the state of the county. And you know, the thing about this place too, it makes everything look small, right? So here's our screen, and it's like, looks like a postage stamp. It's like a normal screen. So I hope you'll be able to see what's on the screen. But before I start the slideshow, you know, how is the county doing? The county is doing absolutely fantastic. Depending on how you look at it, not only with the growth, the economic development, the projects we have in the works, where we are fiscally, financially, Waller County is probably in the strongest shape it's ever been in. When you hear somebody like our outside auditor who gives his presentation, who we just heard from 2 months ago, and he says in the 10 years that he's audited Waller County, he's never seen the county in a better way than what it is right now, financially and fiscally. And I think that's great. So Waller County is doing absolutely outstanding right now. So let's talk a little bit about some specifics and what's been going on. We'll start with the budget. This 2019 budget, which we start in April and May, it takes us about 5-6 months to put this budget together. The budget is now, you know, in terms of the operating fund, general fund, it's probably now about a $34-35 million annual budget. If you count other revenue sources like grants and stuff, then it gets to be 41, 42 million. This budget was a tough budget, probably one of the hardest in the 4 years I've been county judge. It was tough because we knew coming into this budget our hands were going to be tied because we issued the jail bonds earlier this year. That's $39.5 million, which was approved by the voters for us to go and build a new jail, sheriff's office, and a new court facility. So we knew, just like when you go to buy a new house for the first time, you got to make an adjustment in your budget because now you've got a monthly mortgage that you're going to have to pay, and you got interest on that. So coming into this budget, we knew that we were going to have about 7 cents on our tax rate from the new debt service payments that we were going to have to make. So that really kind of constrained us in terms of what we could do in this budget. So the money that we did have, I've told people this budget was about building roads and digging ditches. Drainage continues to be an issue in Waller County. We've seen that over the last 4 years. We've seen that with the FEMA events we've had to deal with. And of course, the road conditions continues to be a challenge for a county of our size. We have a lot of paved roads per capita. A lot of people don't realize that. 525 miles of paved roads. You add in the gravel roads, that adds another 120 miles. The problem is a lot of these roads got built back in the 50s, and it got built with a lot of money and revenue from the Katy gas fields. Well, a lot of those roads now, you can fast forward 40, 50 years, those roads are at the end of their useful lives. So we've got to go in and we've got to start rebuilding, and you can only do an overlay so many times before you really got to rebuild that road. So we really got to focus our resources on getting roads built. So this is what this budget was about. So we had a $1.27 million increase in the road and bridge budget. I don't have that broken. Well, I do have some of it broken out. Over 500,000 of that was going to be in additional road materials. Dump trucks, 235,000. Another 90,000 for bridge materials, and $425,000 for bridge replacements. We also have a lot of bridges in Waller County. Some of them are the old single-lane wooden bridges, and they're done. They've got to be replaced. So we have a lot of bridges at critical mass, and we've got to get those replaced. We also did a merit pay increase for our employees, 3%. We did a payroll survey this year, and we found out our attrition rate had reached about 21%. So we're seeing that we're losing a lot of good qualified employees that have been with us for many years. We're losing them to better paying jobs. So the county has to step up a little bit because it costs a lot of time and money to train new employees. So we stepped that up. And then, of course, we're also starting some lease vehicles. We're working with Enterprise to lease more vehicles, especially now with our Sheriff's Department. We always spend a lot of money every year trying to buy new vehicles for the Sheriff's Department and for Road and Bridge. And what we're finding is we're never getting ahead of the curve. So we're hoping by teaming up with Enterprise, we're going to go to a lease program, and with the money that we're spending, we can actually put 20 new law enforcement vehicles on the road. And hopefully we can get to the point where our deputies are not driving vehicles around that have in excess of 200,000 miles on them, or don't even have the most modern safety features. So safety is important. We've got to make sure our officers are safe when they're out and about. This highlights a little bit about the debt service. So now our debt service every year is going to be to about $2.76 million. That was the 39. The impact on our tax rate is 7 cents. So the good news is, if you look at our tax rate, 2017, we were just over 61 cents. With this budget we just passed, it's going to put us at 68 cents. That's a pretty big jump. So you're looking at an effective plus 7% budget. But what this doesn't show you is that what we've done in anticipation of this jail bond, 3 years ago, we started cutting that tax rate. So this tax rate, we cut the tax rate 10.29% over the last 3 years. What was the tax rate before we started doing those cuts about 3 years ago? It was 68 cents. So although we have the jail bond, we are now back at the tax rate we were 3 years ago. The good news is, I think with a lot of the economic development we have going on and the abatements we have in the pipeline right now, some of which are going to be rolling off, we're going to have, our revenue is going to really substantially start to increase in the next year or so. And I think it will put us in a position to where, hopefully next year, we can go back to cutting that tax rate and bringing it back down. This is a little bit about the 2017 audit. On that audit, one of the things that we addressed a couple of years ago that we thought was important was getting our OPEB liabilities under control. OPEB stands for Other Pension and Employment Benefits. So, for example, a pension plan, health insurance for retirees. A lot of times you look at the city of Houston, all the issues their pensions are causing. Not just city of Houston, a lot of municipalities and counties all over the country are starting to break the back of these entities. So we took the step of making some changes, not only in our retirement, but also in our retiree health care. And I'm happy to say that basically by doing that, we reduced our OPEB liabilities from $30 million in 2015 to $16 million currently. And the auditor was so impressed by that, he actually asked if I would go with him to other counties to help them understand how you go about trying to get control of your OPEB liabilities. We still have some work to do, but at least it's a good step in the right direction. There were no negative findings in our 2017 audit, and we increased our reserves by $1.3 million. During the process of issuing bonds, you go through a credit rating process. You have to get a credit rating issued by S&P, so that when you go to market and you actually sell the bonds, that's what they use to gauge the interest rate that they'll bid. Through that process, S&P noted that we had very strong budgetary performance, that we were very strong in our budget flexibility, and we had strong liquidity, and we had low debt and contingent liabilities. That's why we were able to get such a good interest rate. This is the infrastructure. In the years past, I've talked about the fact that Waller County was, the theme in Waller County was going to be infrastructure. This is a view of what the new jail, sheriff's office, and court facility will look like. We have already broken ground. We actually had the official groundbreaking, a couple weeks ago. They're pushing dirt out there right now. We hope that we'll start pouring concrete pretty shortly, and then we'll get under construction. It's going to be about an 18-month process to get this facility built. Also, in addition, y'all may know that we're working on a Precinct 4 annex. That is going to be right here on Highway 90 between Brookshire and Katy, just west of Woods Road, not far from Amazon. That is going to be a one-stop shop county facility on the south end of the county. You'll be able to go in there to see, Judge Krennick at JP4. Our county clerk will have an office there. The sheriff will have an office there. The constable will have an office there. DPS will have an office there. This will literally be a one-stop shop. You'll be able to do a lot of county business right here at the Precinct 4 annex. We're hoping that we will begin site preparation and construction in early 2019, and hopefully have that done by the end of the year. We also had a big ticket item that came up this year. We spent about $800,000 buying new election equipment. How many of you are registered voters in Waller County? Okay, what y'all think about the new equipment? Not bad, right? It worked really well. The equipment we had before was basically the same as all the equipment all over the state of Texas, because basically everybody went to the electronic voting after the Hanging Chad deal happened in the early 2000s. And a lot of counties got grants from the state in order to buy that equipment. The problem is that equipment is now so outdated. We were literally, it was running on Windows 2000, which they don't support Windows 2000 anymore. So just to have the equipment to maintain those machines. And so now we went with Hart Verity, and we went ahead, and it was a big ticket item, but we had the reserves, and we went ahead and bought this new equipment. And now we are we're only probably within the top 10% of counties that are not going to have an issue with our voting equipment going forward. So I know a lot of y'all heard about how there were some issues with voting equipment where you tried to vote straight ticket, it would flip you over, okay? That didn't happen in Waller County. That was with the old machines, and that was not an issue in Waller County at all. So we're really glad we were able to provide that for the voters. Other items, Hurricane Harvey, we still are doing recovery through Hurricane Harvey. We are working with FEMA and the Texas Land Office, General Land Office, regarding mitigation. There has been money now that's been approved, federal dollars. Waller County itself has been allocated $2.2 million for local buyouts, $4 million for local infrastructure projects. So we're doing our best to make sure we put this money to good use. I know there's also been money allocated to the City of Katy. I know Mayor Bronner's back there, which, by the way, City of Katy in our economic development has been a great partner, by the way. But thank you, City of Katy, for everything y'all have done. We've got some great projects that have happened and probably are going to be coming down the pipe pretty soon because of some of the infrastructure City of Katy has laid down Highway 90. But anyway, we're going to be working on this. It's going to be difficult because some of this money that's being allocated has to go, 70% has to be low LMI, so that means low income. It has to benefit low income individuals. Now, we do have some spots in the county that fit those parameters, but we also have a lot of other areas in the county that don't fit those parameters. So it's very constraining. So we're working right now with Road and Bridge to come up and identify the projects that we hope will qualify so we can use every dollar of this money that's available to us. A little bit about economic development. This has been hot, is the only word I can use for it. Since Amazon has gone in, we have got activity going all over the place. I know it's hard to read this. This is just some of the recent things that have happened. Man Energy, which used to be Man Diesel, right off of Woods Road, which that's been under construction now for several months. I don't know how close. Are they close or are they? April opening, so they're getting really close. Man Diesel, Man Energy now, an awesome project. We partnered with KBW and Welcome Group to make that happen. Average starting salary. How many jobs, Vince? 142 jobs. Average starting salary is just around $100,000. Awesome project. We have two recent spec buildings which are announced, Lone Star Construction and Development and Clay Development. Closed. We had the closing on Oakmont spec building, which is close to the City of Katy, and that was again a partnership between our Waller County, Parkside Capital, and the City of Katy, where everybody worked together as a team, and we really do. I think we've got this down to a science almost to make that project work. Project Eagle has committed to Waller County, and it's going to be part of Brookshire. Advanced manufacturing facility still requires some confidentiality, but hopefully we'll have a big announcement by the end of the year. And of course, Representative Bell was a part of that project, and we appreciate that. If you haven't heard, we're going to have the largest cricket complex in the U.S. It's going to be located right off of 290 near Prairie View. They're already under construction, and this is going to be amazing. It's going to literally bring people in from all over the world to Waller County. It's going to be great for Waller County and great for the university and the city of Prairie View for that matter. These are some of the current projects. Obviously, I talked about Man Energy, which is under construction. This is up near Hempstead, right off of Highway 6 and 290. It's going to be the RCR Rail Industrial Park. Logistically, this is going to be a fantastic facility because of the rail line and the fact that you're right there at Highway 6 and 290. You're at the crossroads of a major trade route, and that's going to be awesome. There's going to be, I think we're going to have a lot of interest in this project from companies outside of Waller County. Beacon Hill and the Wolf Companies, if you haven't heard, right outside of Waller. In fact, I know it's hard to see on this map. So you got 362 and 290. Bucky's is right here. So Wolf Companies has acquired 521 acres. The front part will be a business park, and the back is going to be a residential development by Long Lake Builders. And so now we've always talked about how the residential developments are heading this way. They're here. So I have a feeling this is the kind of neighborhood that's going to be great for teachers and staff at Waller ISD. Even the workers, a lot of the workers at Dakin. If anybody's been out to Dakin lately, they just had their neighbor night out last week, and they are now at 6,000 employees. And I couldn't believe when they said this, they have plans to expand that facility, which it's already 4.2 million square feet and $500 million in investment. And they're going to make it bigger. And that's going to impact us. So these are some of the ongoing projects and prospects we have right now. All the projects that we have in the pipeline right now that we're working on, we can't, identify or tell you about, over $700 million. That's what we've got in the pipeline. And 85% of that will translate into taxable value. We've got one project in particular that we think they really want to be in Waller County. They want to be south of Rooms to Go. It's larger than Amazon. And if you know how large Amazon was, that's huge. A lot of employees, but a lot of inventory. We have opportunity zones now. 2/3, I know you couldn't hear it in the video, 2/3 of Waller County is an opportunity zone. If you don't know what these opportunity zones are, it's going to have a huge impact on Waller County because of the impacts we've had in Waller County, because of the average income in Waller County. We have these opportunity zones where if you're an investor and you've got a huge project and you've got some money coming out and you're going to get hit with huge capital gains, you'll be able to invest that money into projects in Waller County. Depending on how long you stay in the project, you can reduce that capital gains tax down to 0, I think, depending on the length of time. That's huge. That is going to bring in an incredible amount of capital into Waller County, and that's on top of the growth that we're having right now. And then we have targeted employment designation on the same tracks for EB5. Again, this is a program which will bring capital in. It's kind of a little bit, if you have questions about that, Vince will be more than happy to talk to you about what EB5 is, but it has to do with if somebody's going to bring in so much money in investment, it's residency. Is that what they automatically get? Green card. So if you're going to come in from and you want to invest so much money in Waller County, depending on the amount, that gets you your green card to come into the United States. Anyway, that kind of in a nutshell. I know that was a lot real fast, but that kind of shows you what's going on in Waller County. This next year, we are going to be, there's other things to talk about. Obviously, we rolled out our strategic plan earlier this year. I was really proud of that. That was 3 years in the making. Our mobility study is now wrapping up. I think based on that mobility study, which also tied into the strategic plan, you're going to see some huge changes in our mobility thoroughfare map. That's going to be coming up in front of Commissioners Court probably in the next month, 2 months. We're trying to really go with what folks in Waller County said. And what they said was they want to see the high and medium density development around your major highways, around I-10, around 290. But then the middle of the county and the north end of the county, we'd like to see Waller County kind of stay low density. We'd like to maintain that rural agricultural feel to Waller County. So we actually, for the first time, I think ever, when we looked at our mobility map and our thoroughfare plan, we actually intentionally went in some places and took lines off the map. Because you know how it is. If you build it, they will come, right? So sometimes you don't want to build a road, and that way you won't have the high density development, especially in the middle of the county, where we want to have some of that agricultural feel. We had a huge victory this year. The landfill in Hempstead, Pintail landfill finally announced that they were done. The property, I believe, is now under contract. I don't know when the closing is set, but we won a huge victory, and that was great for Waller County, great for the city of Hempstead. So looking forward to this year coming up, some of the things that we're going to be working on, especially if we can go a few months, without a major FEMA event, which I think we're over a year now. And I would love to have these kind of runs because you'd be amazed at what we can get done if we don't have to focus all our time and energy on emergency management. But as a result of the strategic plan, we're going to be looking at doing some things in Waller County, like trying to develop a strategy for attracting more medical facilities to the county, expanding broadband access throughout the county. That's probably one of the number one things I hear from people the most that frustrates them. Start working on a county-wide park plan for long-term purposes, trying to preserve that green space, and of course continuing the strong economic development effort that we have underway right now. And Vince, you've done a great job. We need to get you some more help, and I think we need to commit to doing that in 2019. And And of course, all these infrastructure projects that we have underway, I'm looking forward to getting some of those done. We still have to work on the library. We still have the Waller County Historical Museum in Brookshire, which is an ongoing issue. I had a meeting yesterday on it. But we're working to address all of those issues and hopefully get some of these buildings done. And then we can focus on the next thing, which the courthouse is something we're going to have to deal with in the next few years. So that kind of gives you a snapshot of where we are and what the county's doing right now. But things are going great. And at this time, I'd like to open it up if anybody has any questions. John?
After we improved the speed limit in Waller County with all the growth going on, every county around us has speed limits higher than 55. You got to slow down going in and coming out of Waller County.
Well, and you're right. And, that's something, I get that question a lot, especially when when you hit Waller County, especially on 290 and I-10, because the speed limit goes from 75 to like 65, just arbitrarily, right? Well, that's because years ago, the city of Houston was a non-attainment zone with pollution. So they came up with the idea of reducing the speed limit in Harris County and all the contiguous counties, reducing the speed limit down to try to deal with pollution. Which maybe at that time was probably, I don't know, and that was probably, I think it was now 15, 20 years ago they did that. And at that time, I suppose maybe that was one way. But I think nowadays, and I've had this conversation with Alan Clark, who is with HGAC, he's the Director of Transportation for the Houston area. With the vehicles we have now, with the emissions being what they are, especially now you've got more electric vehicles on the road, that difference in speed limit, and most people don't follow that. They don't do 65, they keep doing 75. And I think it's probably time, and I'm going to tell you something, that's probably also going to require a lot of you to let your legislators know, because that's something that's probably going to have to happen through the legislative process.
I'm primarily talking about Austin to Waller, Grimes to Waller, not going into Houston. I understand that completely, but
Right.
Everybody else is going 60, 65, and we're still stuck at 55.
Well, and that's because we're contiguous to Harris County. So when you're in Grimes is one county removed. So they can have the higher speed limits, and we're constrained, especially on the FM roads. Now, county roads, I mean, we can set our own speed limits on the county roads, but on the FM and the state highways, that's textile. So that's something, and hopefully, like I said, I'm going to continue my conversations. In fact, I've got a call I need to put into Grady Mapes, who is our textile area engineer, to talk to him about this stretch of I-10, because that's getting pretty bad. We saw the same thing happen on 290 during construction, and they narrow those lanes down, and there's no room for error. In fact, they've got the exit closed right now for our weigh station. You may not realize that, but that is costing the county hundreds of thousands of dollars for every week that we have that weigh station shut down. That's lost revenue for the county. So I'm going to be working with Textile. I'm going to talk to them. They were very responsive when I raised the issue of 290 last year, or actually I guess that was earlier this year, because not that most of the problem area with 290 was not in Waller County. It was in Harris County, but all the folks that I know, our constituents, they drive in from Houston every day. And they did respond, and they did some things that did make a big difference. And you didn't have the bad accidents that you saw almost 2 or 3 times a day on 290. And I hope maybe they can come back and look at I-10 and make some of those same changes. But it is an issue we need to look at, and I will be bringing that up at Textile. Yes, sir, Greg. High-speed rail, that's a fun one. Now that the landfill is over, now my time and energy is on the high-speed rail. If you listen to, if you buy what TCR is selling, they want you to think that they are going to be starting construction next year. Okay, I can tell you, being knee-deep in what's going on. I was in Washington D.C. 2 months ago. I met with some higher officials in the FRA, the Federal Railroad Administration, and the Surface Transportation Board. There are some folks higher up in those agencies that are not huge fans of this project. There's a lot of friction between TCR and the FRA right now, because they want the FRA to finalize the environmental impact statement. so they can get going down the road. And there's some pushback from the FRA because there's some real questions. And I think even the FRA is concerned about the feasibility. I'll put it this way, the gentleman we met with, who is second in command, the assistant to the administrator, said that they've been working with TCR for 4 years now, and TCR has yet to provide ridership numbers to the FRA. Why do you think that is? There's only so much you can, I think, in my opinion, you can fudge to make it look like that this thing's going to be viable. They have not yet even gotten. The FRA is very unlikely. There's a thing called the rule of applicability. I think I might have that RPA. So this high-speed rail line, which is coming from Japan, there's no line like that runs anywhere in the United States. It is proprietary. So this line, if they build it, no other train can operate on these tracks. The only train that can operate on these tracks are these trains from Japan. So they have to basically build and set up a whole framework of regulatory rules governing this rail line. We've been told by the FRA that process in and of itself could take almost a year. That would have to be completed before the FRA approves the final EIS. So to hear TCR say that they're going to start construction next year, there is no way that is going to happen. And even then, I think they're going to have some challenges probably in federal court. Because in my opinion, the way they've done this environmental impact statement is garbage. I've been county judge. I'm in my 4th year. Since day one, we have asked to sit down with the FRA and coordinate on this project, which is required by NEPA, coordination with local government. It's never happened. The closest we got was a few months ago when the EPA basically kind of brought the FRA to the table and had a joint video conference. They agreed they would come coordinate with us. And then when we actually sat down and started going over dates, they came back. We went back and forth for weeks. And then they finally came back, and this was like in September, and said, our travel budget is exhausted. We don't have any travel, so we won't be able to meet with you. After going through all of that. I think I think we've laid the predicate that there's some serious issues with this environmental impact statement that they put together. So there's a long way to go on that. That's my viewpoint. And we're going to continue our opposition to that project. Any other questions? Well, guys, my office is always open. If y'all need anything, please come and see me. In the meantime, I hope all of y'all have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank y'all very much.
Well, on behalf of the West I-10 Chamber of Commerce, Judge Duhon, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us today and give us an update in the state of Waller County. I got to tell you, the future is bright for Waller County, and I'm fired up for Waller County. So I always look forward for this day every year. We appreciate you, and in appreciation, we'd like to offer you this small token. Yep, well, thank you, absolutely. Yes, well, thank you. Thank you. I would also like to thank Mr. John Hovis for hosting us today in such a fantastic facility. And the great work that Shelley Gates has done and continues to do to keep this place running and looking as fantastic as it does. So thank you very much. Thank you. With that said, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for coming out today and supporting our Chamber of Commerce. It's not without you that we can't be successful. With that said, there will be no luncheon in January due to the awards appreciation banquet, which I will say and remind one more time that there are sponsorship forms on your table. So please save the date. That will be again Thursday night, January 31st at Beckendorf Farm. So thank you guys for all coming and take care.